like a Brian Fergie.
Hey, that wakes you up in the morning, doesn't it?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning. Hey, Space Hour Stories has joined us. Glad to have you with us today. Jilly Jill. Who else is with us, Brian?
We got Terry and Surfer Fox. Who else?
This is show number 10, Brian. Who would have thought that 10 weeks ago we would not be shutting this bad boy down?
I guess we got a lot of stuff to say, Pete.
With no one to listen and a lot to say. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we do an hour-long, what would you call this? A live podcast, radio, streaming, witty banter bit of leadership and laugh. So it's just a way for us to just take.
That's exactly what I would call it.
Yes, I took the words right out of your mouth.
Sure.
So we just take 60 minutes every week and like to talk about some things around leadership to help managers get better, to help leaders perform their jobs a little bit better. Whether you're working by yourself, an individual contributor, maybe you're leading a team, maybe you're a CEO or small business owner. It's just our way of just having some fun around leadership. And golly gee, we could all use a little bit of fun.
And we can use the laughs.
We could use the laughs. There is no doubt about that. So thanks for joining us. We've got a few regular segments we always go through today. But Brian, this is our first time where we're actually remote. I'm actually broadcasting from Panama City Beach, Florida.
Oh, bonjour.
Yeah. Bonjour. Bonjour. So yeah, it's pretty. There's nothing more exciting than getting up on vacation at 7:30 in the morning to put on a live radio show. But you know what? It's for the listeners, Brian.
It's right. It's for the listeners.
And we'd like to remind everybody, go ahead and text in or chat in the chat box. The more you chat, the more you call, the more you put comments in there, the higher our ratings go, the more people get to listen to the show. And feel free to share it with others as well. Terry put in a good point today. She said it's show number 10 on the 10th.
Oh, it's like our golden anniversary.
You would think we would have planned that. So, but let me tell you real quick what I'm noticing here at the beach, Brian. And we like to start off a little bit with just some current events and so some things that are happening. Social distancing right now. Still happening in many places, and the laws are different in different states. But I am seeing here down in Florida, even though they've reopened some of the beaches and reopened some of the tourist industries, there is not as many people down here in the middle of summer as you might expect.
Okay.
I'm staying at a condo complex right now, and it's not as full as it normally is. And it's funny how people are taking this a little bit differently. We went to one restaurant the other night where every server wore masks. There was hand sanitizers on the table. They were very, adamant about social distancing. And then we went to a different restaurant the other night and no servers were wearing masks. And it was almost like business as usual. So it's very interesting how business owners are taking different things. Now, there's still social distancing. There's certain laws that you have to follow. But I think the whole mask thing down here is optional depending on that. And coming from a hospitality background like you and I do, as theme parks begin to open, as movie theaters, I've been reading recently, are getting ready to hopefully reopen a little bit in July as entertainment facilities open. It'll be interesting to see, Brian, what's happening out there as far as the safety and the health of customers and employees.
It's interesting. You mentioned the movie theaters, and that's one thing that my family really kind of misses through all this quarantine is the ability to go to the movies. Family night at the movies and see the next new blockbuster tentpole film that comes out. But we. I was talking to a friend the other day who mentioned, drive-in theaters are opening now. So, it's been forever since I've been to a drive-in movie.
And that might be a great segment for the future. What businesses are going to benefit the most from this pandemic? Drive-in movie theaters, no doubt, could be one of them. There could be a renaissance of sorts because of that. And I think we're starting to see some of those reopen in Alabama as well. So anyhow, we're down here, we're on the beach, but Brian, you're still keeping it real, I believe, out in is it the 205, the 305, the 805?
Those are a
Seven.
lot of interesting zip codes or what are those called? Area codes.
Area codes. We forget.
No, we're up here in the 303, Pete. The Mile High
303.
City, Denver, Colorado.
The 303. Well, Brian, let's get started with your favorite theme song. What we'd like to do is take some of these stories that are in the news, and I call this Leading Off with Leadership and Laughs with my buddy Brian. So Brian's going to take it away with a couple of current event nutty stories to get us started off today.
We love the nutty stories, Pete. All right, so Pete, do you have an extra $65,000 to $120,000 burning a hole in your pocket?
I have, I believe, $217.
Oh, no, that's a lot less than 65,000. So then you won't be bidding on this auction where they are auctioning off Sir Isaac Newton's letters, his recipes for fighting the Great Plague back in the 1600s.
No way.
The plague, the bubonic plague, the the outbreak of bubonic plague in the 1600s. It lasted until 1666 and killed an estimated 100,000 people in England.
Okay.
Which was roughly a quarter of the city's population of London. There.
I thought you were going to say, which is a country over over
Have you
there.
heard of England?
Over there. Bonjour.
Yeah.
So how much do I have to pay for this?
You would have to. Right now, the bidding is at about $65,000. And what makes this really interesting is not when Isaac Newton was he was basically quarantining away from Oxford.
Okay.
Oxford, I think.
Yeah.
It might have been Oxford.
Either Oxford or Stratford von Avon. Those are the two.
That would be University of Cambridge. Cambridge is where. Yeah.
Ooh.
So I just angered some people over there in Great Britain. But he was quarantining away from the plague. Does this sound familiar? And he threw himself into a whole bunch of works. And it was while he was quarantining that he came up with his laws of gravity.
No way.
Yeah, the whole thing.
That happened during a pandemic?
That was during the pandemic back then.
Wow.
And here's where it gets to the exciting part. He also came up with a supposed plague cure in his handwritten notes, which included, now this is the first step, this is the great thinker, scientist, Sir Isaac Newton, the British polymath, and his plague remedy. First step is to hang a toad upside down in your chimney for 3 days.
Well,
now,
go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, right away, you know this is good stuff, and you'll know that your toad is ready when it pukes and dies. And so when that happens, when it vomits all of its stomach contents, then you have to be careful to collect all the vomit, and you'll grind the toad into a powder, you see, and mix it with the toad vomit. And until you've formed several lozenges, and then you're done.
Why am I not hearing about this on the CDC website? I have yet to hear. I'm taking the toad. I'm hanging him upside down for how many days?
3 days.
Okay, letting him vomit, and then I powder him down and create a lozenge.
Right.
Okay, and
so there you go. This is almost 400 years ago, and it's so funny how this whole story. First of all, it's funny because it attracts your eye with toad vomit lozenges.
Correct.
But I wonder if in 400 years people will be looking back at us in our current pandemic and saying, "Wow, people were actually drinking bleach."
People were injecting that into their. Oh my word! Let's hope not. Oh man. All right. Well, hey, let me tell you something. If you wanted to get me off on a good start today, that was it, buddy. All right. So number 1, toad, vomit, lozenge. Story number 2, leading off with Brian. Go, buddy. Go.
All right. According to Human Resource Executive.
I follow that website.
All right. So then you probably know that many employees are taking sick days right now, but not for physical health reasons, but for mental health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So 32% of employees say that they have taken a sick day recently because they were feeling stressed. You know, we all know that stress is at an all-time high right now, it seems. Percentage of employees who say they took a sick day because they were feeling stressed, 32%.
I'll be honest, buddy. If this was over under, I would have gone higher on that. When we're talking about, especially here in the United States, when we're talking about the pandemic that's happening here, then we're talking about the unjust death of George Floyd and how that's affecting people in their lives. And people are really starting to think and process, and at the same time worry about their businesses and worry about their health and worry about the state of the country and worry about our family and worry about our kids. And when all this worry happens, I'm not surprised that's happening.
Yeah, to your point, I mean the third paragraph in this article says that, you know, the data reveals that while employees do take time off for mental health, they may not admit that reason. So that's 32% of employees who were willing to admit that they're taking time off because they're feeling stressed, but they might need to. There might be many more who feel the need to conceal either mental illness or anxiety or stress, stress-related reasons for taking a sick day.
Well, I can take this all the way back to our time at Disney, Brian. It used to be a running joke isn't the right term, but hey, I'm going to take a mental health day. Back in the 90s, when if like you went to your supervisor and said, I'm going to take a mental health day, they would say, ha ha ha, get back to work or whatever, because I'm just so stressed. And then you would feel guilty about taking a sick day because you really weren't sick, but you were so mentally overcome with stuff. Nowadays, I think that the ability to do that is shifting. And I think that we're going to see with mental health coming up to the forefront more often, I think we are going to see that this doesn't have as much of a taboo on it as you might think. So 32%. Huh.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, I hit the button. Was I not supposed to hit the button? I'm sorry.
No. I you know what? Every time I hear the music, I start bouncing a little bit, and I get caught up in the music. I also want to go back to our toad vomit story real quick. Jilly Jill, the one and only Jilly Jill, apparently shared a fun fact. She said today is the Duke of Edinburgh's 99th birthday, and she says pretty sure he won't be having toad vomit.
Wow, 99 years old. Phenomenal.
Happy birthday to the Duke of Edinburgh.
Yes, I believe that was a Beastie Boys song at one time as well.
Speaking of the Beastie Boys, hey, have you heard? This is one of my favorite stories from the last couple of weeks. As if 2020 couldn't get any weirder. Monkeys have stolen coronavirus patient blood samples from a lab tech over in India.
Okay,
that's right. The monkeys got away with it.
And all this time we thought it was Carol Baskin. All right, tell me what the monkeys have done.
Well, it sounds incredible, but authorities in India say that a troop, by the way, you call them a troop of monkeys, they attacked a medical official and stole blood samples that were, from patients who had tested positive for coronavirus, and they got away. This is a real story, but I'm laughing as I'm reading it. It's actually probably the beginning of the end of the world here, Pete, because now the monkeys are going to have the coronavirus and they're going to spread it to, I don't know, the tigers, and we're all going to die.
I've got to cut you off because I know you're going to tell me the story, but I'm picturing a dude walking into a lab with a backpack. Yeah. Hey, you got the supplies? Here you go. Take them over from store A to store B. See you later. And as he walks outside, like 10 monkeys jump them and
Yeah.
grab the backpack and leave. Now that's how I'm envisioning it. Now you tell
Yeah.
me if I'm close.
You're right on the money, Pete. You're, eyewitnesses reported seeing a monkey chewing on one of the sample collection kits while sitting in the top of a tree. I can't even get through it without laughing. And the monkeys left parts of the stolen kits scattered all over the ground. Monkeys are messy,
Right.
and so the one official at the college where the monkey attack occurred told Reuters that he wasn't sure if the monkeys might contract the coronavirus if they come into contact with the infected blood samples.
Okay, so hold on. So you can probably get it through droplets of sneeze and things like that, but we can't promise that if you drink the blood of of someone else's infected blood that you might get it.
Yeah,
We just don't know that yet.
They don't know that yet.
We'll have to get the lab. Find that out.
Just when you thought this couldn't get any weirder,
Oh my word!
a gang of monkeys attacked the lab assistant and escaped with a bunch of blood test samples.
Oh my word! Sometimes we're just dropping the ball on this. All right, give me one more, buddy. One more.
All right, one more. So, a children's book illustrator recently set a new Guinness World Record, a Guinness Book of World Records record for the largest online art lesson.
Okay.
And so his name is Rod Biddulph. He is the British creator of popular children's books, including Odd Dog Out, which is a book I have not read.
Nope, me either.
He's been hosting Draw with Rob during COVID-19 pandemic, and
okay,
on May 21st, he broke a world record in order to raise money for coronavirus-related charities. He had over 45,000 people tune into his YouTube live stream. That's even more listeners or participants than we have.
That's unbelievable.
Crickets.
That's unbelievable.
So yeah, he taught them how to draw a blue whale. There you go. And his final whale drawing was auctioned off for $1,236, which was also donated to charity. So
hey, see, I like good stories like that. That's nice. That's a good one. Oh man. Hey, 4 good stories today, man. 4 good leading off stories. I appreciate that, buddy. That gets us off and running. And sometimes we just got to go down this path, Brian, this path that takes us to places that we don't want to go in leadership. I like the good things, people donating money to charity, people helping out, people sharing good leadership lessons, but sometimes we make mistakes, Brian, and it's time for us to ask the world famous question.
They did what? They did what? What?
They did what? Oh, my word. I want to spend a little bit of time here today, Brian. This is our segment where we just talk leadership and share some information about do's and don'ts of leadership and how bad managers can be. And a lot of times, Brian, we like to make fun isn't the right word, but like to talk about some of these issues. But there's also leadership lessons in them for all of us in terms of, are we doing the right things when we manage our people? Are we aware of all the laws and rules and regulations that are happening out there? So I, too, have 3 stories today, Brian, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about disability discrimination challenges. So I want to remind us all during this time because we're going to start reopening our businesses, some of us. We may have to lay people off, bring new people in, go through the interview process. We've got to make sure that we're not doing discrimination of any kind, especially in the world of disability and those who have disabilities. In fact, we had a gentleman come speak to our group one time, and he was in a very bad car accident. He was in a wheelchair, and he came and spoke to our disability awareness class, and he used this term tab. Do you know what tab is, Brian?
Tab, that's a soda.
Yes, it is. That's how I always tend to remember it as well.
Diet soda before Diet Coke was Diet Coke.
He would use it for the words temporarily able-bodied. temporarily
Okay.
able-bodied. And he would say that all of us in our lives are just temporarily able-bodied. He goes, you spend so much time talking about who's disabled and who's not. He said at some point in time, you're going to twist an ankle. You are going to, hurt yourself. You may be in a serious accident. You may get older and your body just doesn't work the way it used to. So all of us will eventually have some type of disability. So just enjoy the times when you are temporarily able-bodied. There's a whole new way to kind of think about this. So let's start off with you. You asked me if I had some money left in my account. Do you have $55,000 you can lend me, Brian?
Hold on a second. No, I'm about $55,000 short of that.
St. Louis, Missouri, Black Forest Decor. They're an internet retailer specializing in cabin decor or decor, if you will. They're going to pay $55,000 to fire a worker to resolve a disability discrimination lawsuit. So here's what happened. And this was back in February of 2018, but the settlement just came out recently. This is a worker named Barbara who worked in a warehouse. She notified the company that she had a medical condition, Brian, that was likely to require surgery in the coming month, but that her doctor had released her to work until her surgery. So, hey, boss, want to let you know I'm going to need surgery in about a month, but I can work up till the day before. Sounds correct, right? I mean, everything's good so far?
Yeah, I'm with you.
In response, Black Forest placed her on unpaid leave until her surgery because the company was afraid it would be liable if anything happened to her while she was working. And although she kept the company updated with details about her upcoming surgery, the company didn't contact her again until 3 weeks later when it sent her a letter saying, "You're being fired for excessive absences."
Wait, what? they did what?
Yeah. So, hey, real quick, I've got a surgery coming up. It's all going to be okay, and I can work till the day of. We're a little worried about that, so we're just going to put you on leave until the surgery. So she keeps contacting them. Hey, I'm fine. Hey, I'm going to be good. And they go, you've missed too much time. You're gone. So $55,000, a 3-year consent decree, monetary damages, annual training, and all the money that they've got to put into training their employees and do these things. Where an employee with a disability is willing and able to work safely, the employer must treat her the same as it would any other employee who is likewise willing and able to work. Otherwise, you're violating, I love this, you're violating the ADA as well as common sense, logic, and basic fairness. So,
yeah, well, that makes a great "they did what" story, right there.
That's
ones
just
that violate common sense and logic.
Oh, mercy! All right, do you have time for a couple more?
Let's do another one.
All right, have you heard of a railroad called Union Pacific?
I have. Yep.
All right.
I see their trains sometimes here out west.
I believe. Are they on the Monopoly board or not? Do you take a ride on the Union Pacific on Monopoly?
Oh, that's a good question. What about our listeners?
Bonus points. If you can name all 4 railroads on the Monopoly board, you will get a free Leadership and Laughs t-shirt. Brian will send that out to you right away.
Nope, we don't have those.
All right. Union Pacific Railroad Company is going to pay $260,000. Here we go. This one's going to blow your mind. According to the lawsuit, they engaged in unlawful discrimination at the Ogilvie Transportation Center in Chicago, Illinois, Brian, when they refused to allow an employee who once had a brain tumor to return to work as a custodian. Now,
who once had a brain tumor.
Yes, he is now able to work. He's doing fine, and I'm going to come back to work as a custodian. But Union Pacific says, no, we cannot bring you back because we classify all of our custodians as quote-unquote safety critical positions. So by classifying the position as safety critical, they can then say that he doesn't have the skill set necessary to do the role of custodian. So their suit contained that Union Pacific failed to conduct an appropriate assessment to determine whether he could safely perform the essential functions of the job, which, Brian, is what?
I don't know.
Custodian.
This
whole
story has me spinning.
Such alleged conduct violates the ADA. They agreed to settle the lawsuit before filing an answer. A 2-year consent decree. They're going to pay him $260,000 and train their service unit employees on ADA protections, report all future complaints. And we're pleased, says his attorney, that Union Pacific was able to work with us to resolve this matter before the incurred cost of a protracted litigation. In other words, we would have gotten a lot more money from you had we gone to court. So thank you for settling.
For only over $200,000.
And from a leadership lesson, Brian, we got to be careful how we classify employees. When you start classifying, safety critical positions, police, fire, public safety, healthcare workers. When you start classifying your positions as safety critical, specifically to keep people that you don't want to work in those positions, right. I think you're opening yourself up to a little bit of a struggle.
Well, this goes back to, again, common sense and logic. It seems like you're trying to do an end around, trying to find a loophole there to
right.
Yeah.
Right. Michael Glaze got the Pennsylvania, the B&O, the Reading, and the Short Line, although we can't say Short Line anymore because Short Line is offensive. So we'll have to rename that on the Monopoly board to... I'm just saying. This is where we're going. I got one more for you. They did what? Are you ready for one more?
Let's do another.
All right, let's finish up big time, buddy. $500,000. Where is the $500,000 story? Hang on. I'm sorry. I was wrong, Brian. $825,000. This is from May 13th of this year. I can't even pronounce this, Brian. Faurecia Madison. This is in Jackson, Mississippi. Faurecia Madison, a manufacturer of automobile seat frames. They make seat frames for your automobile. We all need that in our cars.
Sure.
They're going to pay $825,000 because here's what they did. All right. So they were going to hire a whole bunch of new employees. Okay. So a bunch of people were no longer working at this company called Johnson Controls. So they, according to the lawsuit, reached out, screened, asked, reached out, whatever they did to Johnson Controls and said, hey, can you tell me the number of sick days or FMLA days that these people that we're looking into have taken? And so Johnson Controls provided them with all that information. And then they said, wow, they've been out a lot. We're not going to hire any of them. So such alleged conduct violates the ADA, Brian, because it prohibits employers from making employment decisions on a person's perceived or actual disability. You can't just say, oh, you've been out a lot, you must have a disability. Oh, you've taken a lot of FMLA, I'm not going to hire you. You really can't do that. And since they started the hiring process, this was kind of an easy one. Their attorney says the ADA was passed so people with disabilities get a fair chance to make a living. Employers must make employment decisions on actual skills and abilities, not myths, fears, or stereotypes about a person's disability. And this is what I tell people all the time, Brian. We need to be real careful. Does your company have a policy on letters of reference or letters of recommendation or things like that? Because I remember when we worked at Disney, here's what we were taught. There's only 3 or 4 things you can, if someone calls and asks for a reference or a recommendation, should I hire this person? Yeah. The things we were told you can share is hire date, like termination date, I think. Couldn't you say that this is how long they worked with us? Yeah. And then what was their rehire status? I think we could share, were they a yes rehire, title, job? Yeah, but nothing. Yeah. Did they work with you? Were they truly employed with you where they said they were employed? Are they in a positive hiring? I think without sharing details, you could share we have them as a yes rehire or a no rehire. I think you could share that. We'll check with that with our HR experts, which is us. And then, how long they were, but that's it. So the idea of calling another company and saying, hey, can you release all their information to us about how many days they've taken and how many sick days and do they have any, you just can't do that. And shame on the other company for sharing that information. They should know better. Yeah. As well.
Terry, call in. I don't know if you know Terry. She is an HR expert at a company that we will not name. But she can speak to this. It's verification of employment.
It's verification of employment. So that's basically all we can share is, yes, they did work here for this amount of time. Anything else beyond that that. Joseph writes in that letters of recommendation for Eagle Scout candidates are destroyed. So once they have those in place for letters of recommendation, he's saying that they're destroyed after that process, so that they can't, I guess, so that they can't get out and get about and get to other people. This is something we've all got to take into account, because we're all going to be hiring new people and bringing in new people. And so what are the things we can and can't ask as a leader? Terry, I think you're joining us. Can you share a little bit with us?
Sure. Yeah, it's mostly kind of what you said. It's more of a verification of employment these days. It's rarely that you can get a letter of recommendation from your employer, just because a lot of people unfortunately get in trouble as to what they say. So, if you think about like your LinkedIn profile, people are doing recommendations and stuff right there. A lot of times you get coworkers to do recommendations for you if you're looking for employment at other places. But no, it's just kind of facts of your position, and that's pretty much it.
It could cost you $825,000.
Yeah.
So if someone were to call you, Terry, and say, "Hey, we're thinking about hiring this person. They say that they worked for you." The things you would confirm are, yes, they did work for us during these dates, and this was their job title. And that's probably as safe as you want to go on things like that.
They have their length of their tenure, their job title.
What about how many sick days they took?
How many sick days they took?
Absolutely not.
Where? How long they were at lunch? No. Okay. Dress code violation.
How many breaks they took? No.
Did they smell bad, Terry?
Yeah. How many? Did they complain a lot about their parking place? Can we talk about that?
Okay.
What, are they pregnant? Again, thank you for calling in, Terry, because
thanks, Terry. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Pete and I are not HR professionals per se. We're not employment law experts. But even I know that you can't ask for that kind of information.
I mean, that's just silly. So again, I agree with Joseph. Their duty station would be okay. We're trying to stay in the area of facts. And I think as you go through recruiting experts, what are the facts? What was their job? You could probably share what their job description was. Here's the official list off our website of what their job is. You can go, because they can find that on their own, all kinds of things like that. Absolutely. Oh man. Good job, Terry. Good job. So it's
What's that music, Pete?
I think it's time for everybody's favorite game show, Brian.
Dude, I think if we didn't do the game show, nobody would listen.
No, we would. Everybody wants to play a little over and under. It's the world famous, only live podcast, radio streaming, statistical game show where you can win absolutely nothing. So
no, that's not true. You win our love and respect and admiration for your statistical prowess.
All right. And as always, Brian, why don't we just do a game show for 60 minutes instead of this format? Because we get more comments during the game show portion than any other portion there is.
It'd be great if somebody called in to play live, too. just Surfer Fox or Jill or Michael or somebody, call in and see if you can beat Pete.
If you're listening for the first time, it's a simple game. Brian's got some statistics straight hot out of the news based on management, leadership, HR functions. You're going to guess along with us and decide, is the number Brian gives us, it's an incorrect number, is it over or under the number that he gives us? Brian, get us started today, buddy.
That's right, Pete. So it's like you said, it's everybody's favorite leadership statistics game show, over under, and I'm going to present Pete with a few interesting and timely statistics that he's going to have to decide if the actual number is over or under what I give him.
And we've got a player, Brian.
Hey!
A while ago, Joseph, you're on the air. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, Joseph's one of our loyal listeners. I met Joseph at a training conference a few years ago, and he's a leadership expert in his own right up in the northeast part of the United States. We're glad to have him on today, buddy.
Thank you. And I'm calling from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Hey!
Wow, that is pseudo northeast.
It's northeast. Yeah. I am 11 miles north of the White House.
Oh, mercy. Well, we can talk leadership.
Can you smell it?
Yes. Well done. And there goes that endorsement. Okay.
So
All right.
So yeah, all right. Thank you for playing live with us, Joseph. I've kept these all of these questions hidden from Pete and from Joseph, so they're going to be hearing them for the first time. And we want to encourage everybody to play along. So text in your answers, and feel free to give us what you think as we try to guess over or under. All right. So
I'm
Pete,
sorry, Brian. Say that again as we try to guess what?
over or under. Man, I love theme music.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
know.
All right, guys, here we go. So leaders, obviously, they need to be aware of many things in business today. And one of them is going to be email marketing. Email marketing, leaders need to be aware of how effective that can be. So many of us don't like to receive targeted marketing emails, but it's actually impossible to ignore the facts of just how effective that can be.
Okay.
For every $1 spent on email marketing, it averages a return of $44. So
Now, Brian, these are the messages that come to our email inboxes. They can be from places like MailChimp or GoDaddy. They're just you're being barraged with marketing messages through your email, and you're saying we're calling that email marketing.
email marketing, and
Got it.
Personally, I can't stand it. I hate. I'm with Michael G. Just says delete.
Delete.
However, what we're hearing is, it has a 4,400%, over 4,000% return on investment.
Wow.
So,
okay. It's
so
working.
Here we go. Let's play. I have four for you today, and survey was sent out. First check of the day. So the first thing that employees check is it news, email, social, the company intranet, or a search of some kind. That was what the participants had to choose from. And so how many of them said the first check of the day is their email? Is it over or under 40%?
Joseph, I'll let you take the lead, buddy.
I'm going to say over, because at least in my organization, knowing a lot of the people that I worked with, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, checking that email. Even when they went to the damn restroom, they were checking that email.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, I'm going to take the opposite, because I believe of all the ones that you mentioned, people are going to go right to social first. I check my email first every day, but I think I'm in the thing. So I'm going to say it's under 40 that people will check something else first. So one of us has got to be right.
That's right.
Michael Gray says over. Terry says over.
Yeah, everybody says over except Pete, and I'm
Right.
giving them the bell.
Yay!
Yeah! Everybody gets a T-shirt when we get them someday. Yeah, Joseph got over. So the answer is actually 58%. 58% of workers, the first check of the day is their email. Now, social media came in at 14%.
Wow, I'm shocked by that. Let's throw this out to the audience, Brian. Not your work email, your personal email, either or. Type, those of us who are listening today, type in the notes how many messages are currently, and let's go unread. Unread messages are in your inbox. I will speak on behalf of my lovely wife, Sherry, who is very proud that she has over 10,000 unread emails in her personal inbox. Brian?
Well, that's why she doesn't respond to my emails.
You're exactly right. Joseph, are you a clean your email every day person, Joseph, or are you a hang on to them?
No, I am a cleaner up. I believe in good records and information management practices. And because I came out of that profession many years ago to move into training, and I'm a cleaner up. I have very few unread emails. I have maybe 24 at most, because I really as an independent consultant, I want to keep things nice and clean, because I got to focus on trying to get business, and I keep things clean.
I can see that. Jill's got how many, Brian? 375. Michael's got about 158. So some people use it in different ways, and that's maybe why people check more often. Very interesting. All right.
I'm with Joseph, by the way. I
Clean it up?
I prefer a much I have a lot of messages in my inbox, but they're all red.
Yes. Yes. All right, keep us coming. We're playing over and under.
Okay, guys, what is the percentage of all emails? I'm talking about all emails in the world. What is the percentage that would be classified as spam emails?
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, I'm going to keep it at 40%. Over or under 40%, everybody?
Joseph?
Spam emails.
I say over. Having seen the stats at my organization, I'm saying over.
And because Joseph was right last time, I'm going with him again, Brian. The amount, and again, wait, hold on. I haven't finished my explanation.
Oh, sorry.
So here's why. I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead. Was I right? Is it over? Yeah.
But tell us why. Tell us why it's over, Pete.
No, it's just this organization that I work for now, we've got to put in these daily spam filters at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And so even through a big corporation, and then it sends you this list. Here's all the things that went to your spam. Should we release any of these? And the amount of stuff that comes into just corporate servers and places like that that's being filtered out, it has to be more than 40%.
It is. It's 54%, which honestly I feel is low, right?
You think it's more than half you?
Well, personally, but I think maybe I assign spam to, if you opt into a brand's email, or you sign up for a website, and you can't call those emails spam exactly, right?
Because you asked for it.
You asked for it, even though you're not reading it, you're annoyed with it, and it comes to your inbox several days or several times a day. I get emails from a barbecue restaurant here in town called Famous Dave's, which is delicious. Love their food. Don't like to get their emails.
And there goes that sponsor. Joseph, let me ask you, as an individual contributor, as an individual consultant, how much are you doing as far as just cold emailing people out there for your business?
I don't like to be annoying, so I only do an email every other month, kind of just letting people know an update of here's my latest blog posts and here's what I'm doing, just to keep people aware that, hey, I'm still out here, and if you need my services, great. And if not, take at least look at my podcasts.
Gotcha. Okay, good. It's good to know. All right, Brian, give us number 3, buddy.
All right, number 3. What is the percentage of consumers?
Sorry, go ahead.
What is the percentage of consumers who say they actually would like to receive promotional emails from their favorite brands on a weekly basis?
On a weekly basis.
Yeah. Like, listen, I want to actually get a promotional email from my favorite brands on a weekly basis. Is it over or under 40%?
Ooh, that's I'm going to say under 40. I'm going to take a chance and say under 40.
I'm gonna go with Joseph here too. For the one thing, he's been right twice, but also how many people actually want? I mean, I don't know the basis of your survey, Brian. So I don't know. I mean, were these business people? Were these unemployed people? Were they workers? Was it a cross section? And I don't think a lot of people like that. So yeah, weekly. I'm with Jill. Jill says weekly. Joseph says under. I'm going under. What do you got?
It's over, you guys. It's almost half of consumers. So 49% of consumers say they would like to actually receive promotional emails from their favorite brands.
I'm with you, Jill. What is wrong with these people? I have 375 unread emails. I don't need another one.
Jill, read your emails.
Yes. All right, Buglet's 3 for 3. One more and Buglet gets the free T-shirt.
Ooh. All right, I do have one more for us if you want to go one more.
Let's do one more. It's a bonus. We normally only get 3. This is so exciting.
Ooh. All right, here we go. So related to that last question, what is the percentage of email users who have unsubscribed from a brand's email that they previously opted in for? So they opted in.
Yeah.
And then they wound up getting too much or it wasn't relevant and they unsubscribed from it.
65%.
So
I'm sorry. I have to wait for the number. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So is it over or under 65%?
No, was that going to be your number? Really?
No, but it is
Oh.
now, because now I'm gonna make you move. Over or under 65%?
Oh, well then I'm going over then. I'm saying a lot of people sign up and then change their mind and are like, this is everyone wants their first 20% off. I'm going over. I'm going 3/4 of people sign up and then say, forget it, I'm done. Joseph, what are your thoughts?
I'm not following Pete's lead. I'm going under, because I think what a lot of people do is they just they just delete it. They don't even bother anymore, or they send it directly to their spam folder. So I'm going to say under. I'm going under all the way.
So Pete went over. Joseph said under. And by the way, your reasoning for saying under, Joseph, is perfectly lined up with me. That's what I do. I'll opt in, and then even though I'm annoyed, I'll just delete it or move it to a folder rather than go and unsubscribe from it later. But the actual answer is over. So if you said over, you get the bell. And it's actually, according to this survey, it's actually 91%.
Wow.
Let's go.
Whoa.
Yes.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
They report that they have subsequently unsubscribed from a brand's email that they previously subscribed to.
How about that? Joseph, you were 3 for 4 today, buddy.
That's not my normal quality work. Not my normal.
Hey, 3 out of 4. That's way above what Pete usually does.
My 1 out of 4. Great. Joseph, thanks for calling in and playing today.
Thank you, guys.
You want to take a couple seconds to kind of plug your podcast with us here?
Sure. My podcast is called, and thank you very much, guys. My podcast is called A Fool for Learning. It's the name of my company. It's a series of podcasts I do Tuesday, Thursday. And it focuses on training, networking, consulting, and any other foolish thought I may have. And let me just say, the last 2 weeks, this week and next week, are all about things you need to think about when your company comes to you for a buyout. If they want to offer you a buyout, or your company regularly comes to you for a buyout, things that you need to think about before the buyout, and then what happens after you put your name on the dotted line and say, I'm accepting your buyout. Because a lot of things can happen to you. You get a huge change in what you see, what happens at work when you accept that buyout. So that's the focus. And I thank you very much, guys, for letting me play, and thank you very much for letting me plug my podcast.
Joseph,
how can we listen?
It's called afoolforlearning.com. Is that correct?
Afoolforlearning.com. That's my website. You can go there to the podcast. And I'm on Podbean. And let me do this very shameless other plug. I have to thank Pete, because he inspired me to do a whole series of podcasts. Now, I don't know if people are going to thank Pete for that. If they listen to the podcast or not, they may be throwing things at him. But I have to say thank you, Pete, for inspiring me to do podcasts.
Hey, good job, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. Joseph brought in a whole new train of thought when we met, and I really liked what he had. And we've been working, we've been sharing best practices and things like that. So thanks, buddy. Thanks for listening to ours. I appreciate you. Oh man. Well, Brian, those were good today, buddy. Those were absolutely. It was a fun.
Oh man.
But you know what time it is, Brian?
I think it's a time for a parade.
I'm walking down. I'm walking down Main Street, USA, but it's empty. There's no one there, Brian.
Why is there nobody there?
So we're not open yet. It's not open till, I don't know, July or something.
Oh man, the memories are there, Pete.
It's the magical. This is our segment called the Daily Disney. All right, Brian. I've got a sad one for you today.
Oh well. Welcome to Leadership and Laughs, everybody.
I want to take a second just to share something that is important to me when it comes to the Disney organization. It's not even really that Disney related, and this just came out yesterday, Brian. This news release came out yesterday, and I want to share this with all of our listeners. Brian, are you familiar with Give Kids the World?
I am.
Have you heard of the story about Give Kids the World in the past 24 hours?
I have not.
All right. Well, Give Kids the World, just for those of you who don't know, is an organization that provides deserving families of kids that have critical illnesses the ability to go to the Disney parks, SeaWorld, Universal, Walt Disney World, free of charge through granting wishes. So your community probably has a Make-A-Wish foundation or some type of wish granting organization. And a lot of kids who are terminally ill or have really bad sicknesses choose to come to Orlando and visit Disney. Well, when they choose that, they partner with an organization called Give Kids the World. Now, if you've ever set foot or heard, and I highly recommend you visit their website, Give Kids the World is like a whole village. It has housing, it has smaller amusement rides like carousels and things like that, but they're all ADA accessible, and they provide the meals and the transportation to and from the theme parks. And our old buddy Neil McCord, you may remember Neil McCord, I believe is the operating manager, the operating director, whatever, president, whatever you call it, not president, but the general manager of Give Kids the World. And it's been a great blessing to both the Disney organization, to Central Florida, to families who have disabilities, things like that. Well, they announced yesterday, and it's no surprise, that they are going to remain closed for an undetermined period of time because of the pandemic, and they'll have to lay off a majority of their staff. Their CEO came on yesterday and said, it's with a heavy heart that I must share some devastating news for me personally and our entire Give Kids the World Village family. Unforeseen circumstances have resulted in us having to close. Although the theme parks are going to reopen, we're uncertain as to when they'll be able to welcome vulnerable guests, including all of our wish children.
Oh, of course. So
Right.
yeah, the guests who are staying with Give Kids the World, they're going to be high risk.
Absolutely.
For the coronavirus.
Right. So they're at a higher risk. So even though the theme parks are reopening, not only do they have to provide a safe, clean environment at Disney, but also the Give Kids the World Village will have to figure out, will you want your child with a highly not functioning immune system staying with some other families who have that? So they said that as of June 27th, they're going to have to lay off 86% of their staff. A small team's going to remain back for the safety and security of the village and to keep alumni families and volunteers and stay connected with everybody. But she said that unforeseen circumstances directly related to COVID-19 means they've got to close the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Now, here's something else, Brian. And we talked about what organizations are going to be affected positively and negatively by the coronavirus. The Make-A-Wish Foundation is their majority wish-granting partner, and they notified them that due to COVID-19, they will not be scheduling any wishes that involve travel or large groups until a vaccine is in wide use. So even if people don't choose for their wish to go to Disney, if they choose to go to the mountains, or they choose to go to Montana, they're still not going to grant those wishes either because until a vaccine is available. So Give Kids the World has said is going to lay off about 86% of its employees. So you talk about just a struggle there. And if there's they're just going to do the best that they can. This kind of hits home to me because my daughter, and I'm so proud of her, while she was at college at the University of Alabama, instead of going on spring break to go party at Panama City Beach or Daytona Beach or something, she went through the University of Alabama has a sort of mission trip type of thing. And one year she came down and stayed at the Give Kids the World Village for a full week. And she had to get all of her shots and have a background check and all of that. But her job was to go in every day to the Give Kids the World Village and help to serve the food to the kids and play with the kids and ask them how their day was and help ride the rides and do the opera. There's a lot of volunteers that come in to help run Give Kids the World. So she loved her experience down there, and with her major being special education. She's very committed to people who have threatening illnesses, disabilities, things like that. So when I told her this, she was just devastated because she knows how much happiness that Give Kids the World brings. Did you ever volunteer there? Go over and do any work with them?
Yeah, I did, and so did my wife Terry. I know that she worked with them for a while as well. That's I'm glad you brought it up. Some of our listeners have pointed out, wait, this isn't funny.
Yes.
And it's not. But I'm glad you brought it up because there's been so many people affected by this pandemic and the ripple effect that it has, and this is one I really didn't even didn't think about. And
No, I mean, we all think about our my vacation's been messed up and I can't go what about these kids who have learned that they've got maybe a year to live or something, and someone said, don't worry, what's your final wish? I want to go to Disney in June, July, August, and now you've got to go as a parent and tell those kids, I'm sorry, that wish can't be granted. I mean, can you imagine the struggle? So, just kind of pray for all of those families and hope that this continues to get better, and hope we get out of this soon, Brian. That's the best thing we can hope for. So yes, you're right. Not a happy daily Disney, but sometimes again, the reality of life just leads us to just make sure that we're always thinking about, man, that's a good thing for all of us, Brian. Let's just think about others this week. Put others first a little bit. Might be good.
Kindness is so important, especially right now.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. Oh man, I can't believe we're at the end of our show.
That was an hour that went by really quick. Hey, Pete, happy birthday to Sherry, by the way.
Yes, my blushing bride is exactly so many years old today, and we're very happy to have her be so many years old yesterday. So thanks for that. Yeah. We had some good listeners today. We had Sherry, we had Terry, we had Music Lady Tony. Glad to have you on here with us today. We had a couple new listeners. We had one listener that we blocked, so we want to thank him for writing in. Mercy be.
All right. Hi, Buglet. Hi, Surfer.
And thanks to Joseph for playing along with us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Tell your friends. This will be available on all streaming services. We're out there, and it's just a way to maybe, other than our last segment, put some smiles on your faces. So we'll see you next Wednesday, Brian. Is that right?
Next Wednesday, but we're going to end with a little Did You Know?
Oh, I forgot about Did You Know? Go, buddy. Go.
Did you know? Going back to our email marketing segment, did you know that 102.6 trillion, that's trillion with a T, emails are sent and received worldwide each year, and that number is rising.
That will pretty soon top the national debt. 100? You say 123 trillion?
102.6 trillion emails.
People say email is dead, Brian, that social media and texting is taking over. I don't think so, my friend. That number will not validate.
That number will keep going up. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening to us, and don't forget to listen to Joseph's podcast, afoolforlearning.com.
Afoolforlearning.com. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.